Welcome to Create Your Midlife, the podcast where self-agency becomes the new feminine power. I'm Dr. Oksana Skidan, and every week we explore what it means to create your life by leading yourself with ease, clarity, and presence, one real conversation at a time. Before the holidays take over your time, your energy, and your entire calendar, I want to talk to you about something unexpected. And honestly, something we rarely talk about at all. Not starting, not restarting, not finishing, but continuing. The art of continuing and the truth of stopping. I know it sounds almost strange to call it an art, doesn't it? But look around your life. Look around society, around culture, around how we celebrate things. We praise beginnings. We praise endings. The start of a new year, the first day in a new house, the new project, the new routine, the new version of ourselves we announce on Instagram on January 1st. And then, once it's done, we celebrate finishing, closing a chapter, wrapping up a project, marking another birthday, concluding something. But what about the middle? What about everything what happens between the beginning and the end? What about the part where you're not excited anymore, but you're not done either? What about the days where the motivation is gone, but the work still matters? That part, the part no one talks about, that is continuing. And if you think about it for a moment, that is where our entire life actually happens. Not in the highs of excitement, not in the celebrations, but in the quiet, ordinary, invisible middle. And that's why I call it an art. Because nothing about continuing is automatic or easy. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, it's not something we post about or invite friends to celebrate with us. Come over. I'm celebrating month 3 of continuing my morning walk. Well, we don't do that. Maybe we actually should. Yet, continuing is the only reason we grow, the only reason change happens, the only reason we become who we are becoming. And here's the truth. Continuing is the hardest in midlife and almost impossible during the holidays. At least this is what I've discovered. Which is exactly why I choose this week, right before Thanksgiving, right before December begins, to talk about it with you. This is the moment when women start to disappear from their own lives, quietly, slowly, almost invisibly. Not because they don't care, not because they're not committed, but because the season rises, the noise rises, the expectations rise, and their routines, their rituals, their self-care, their presence all begin to dissolve under the weight of everything else. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Because continuing in this season is not discipline. It's self-trust. It's self-respect. It's self-agency. And it's the one thing that will keep you connected to yourself when the world gets louder. So let's talk about why continuing is so important right at this moment, right now, in this exact week of the year. Because if you're feeling stretched, distracted, pulled in 100 directions already, you're not imagining it. This is the season when life speeds up, expectations multiply, and emotional history comes to visit. And that's exactly why most women stop. They don't stop because they're lazy. They don't stop because they're unmotivated. They don't stop because they don't care. They stop because life gets louder than their inner voice. Think about it. Everyone wants something from you. Your attention, your care, your presence, your decision, your help. The end of year pressure starts to build. School events, deadlines, family gatherings, plans, emotional expectations, holiday decorations, holiday planning. And the holiday season brings its own set of triggers and memories. Some beautiful, some heavy, some complicated. And under all of this, your routines, your self-care, your rituals, and your time start to sleep. Not because they're not important, but because they're quiet. And quiet things get drowned out by noise. This is the time when women begin to disappear from their own calendars. You see everything for everyone else, but you stop seeing yourself. Your morning walk disappears. Your journal sits unopened. Your quiet cup of coffee with a book gets replaced with rushing around. Your art, your breath, your peace, they fall into the background. Not because you choose it, but because this season pulls you. And here's the emotional truth. Holidays activate old roles, old patterns, old triggers. You can be a grown woman with a full life, but the moment you step into a familiar home, hold a familiar ornament, smell a familiar dish, something in you softens back into the past. And the interesting thing, the good girl wakes up. The approval seeker wakes up. The people pleaser wakes up. And suddenly, continuing anything for yourself becomes the hardest thing in the world. You find yourself saying yes when you wanted to say no. You're overextended. You overgive. You overperform. You overmanage. You overaccommodate. And your own life goes quiet. This is exactly why we're having this conversation right now. Because continuing is not about being strict. It's not about discipline. It's not about holding the perfect routine. Continuing is about staying present. It's about not abandoning yourself. It's about protecting the connection you've built with yourself all year long. And it's about saying, I'm still here. Even in the busiest season, I matter in my own life. This is the emotional foundation of today's episode. And now that we've opened it, we can move into understanding why we stop and how we can gently, intentionally, clearly continue forward this season. Now, let's talk about why continuing becomes almost impossible during the holiday season, even for the most dedicated, organized, self-aware women. And let me say this clearly. Nothing I'm about to say is judgment. Everything here is about understanding. Because when you understand why you stop, you are not longer fighting yourself. You are leading yourself. So let's name the real reasons, the ones women actually experience. One of the top reasons I found in my life is that life simply takes over, fully and completely. When November hits, everything begins to pile up at the same time. More school things, more work things, more emails, more errands, more decisions, more invisible responsibilities. And the truth is, your life does not pause just because the holidays arrive. Your routine responsibilities continue, and holiday responsibilities add on top. After all, you don't stop going to work. You don't stop taking your kids to school or taking care of your house, cooking meals. You continue living your life. This, the holidays on top. So the very thing that keep you grounded, your walk, your quiet moment, your morning ritual, your coffee with the book, get squeezed out first. Not because they don't matter, but because they are the easiest to sacrifice. Another reason I found is that you don't put yourself on a schedule. This is one that we all do. Women schedule everything. School runs, meetings, appointments, family events, holiday dinners, travel days, company parties. Look at your schedule right now. But when you look at there to find yourself, you will not be able to do that. And if you're not on your own schedule, you disappear from your own life. This is one of the primary reasons women stop continuing. They simply don't see themselves anywhere in their day. The next one is a tricky one, and it's actually very dear to my heart because I realized that I've been there. And to be honest with you, quite easily could be triggered back into. Holidays reactivate the good girl conditioning. This is the big one for all of us. Holidays bring out the helpful girl, the agreeable girl, the responsible, the pleasant, the available. Even if you've spent years on learning those roles, this season activates them like a switch. Why? Well, because the environment is familiar. The traditions are familiar. The expectations are familiar. The people who remember you as you used to be are around you again. So without realizing it, you slide back into saying yes faster than you want, taking on more than you should, over-accommodating, proving, performing, managing everything. And when the good girl wakes up, your presence goes to sleep. Together with that, the approval addiction goes up during the holidays as well. It's emotional part. It's what spikes the holidays. Why? Because this season carries expectations, comparisons, tradition pressure, social pressure, family pressures, the desire to make it nice, the urge to be appreciated. You want people to like the meal. You want them to feel cared for. You want the house to look beautiful. You want everything to be just right. And approval, even tiny, silent approval, becomes part of the emotional load. The cost? Your own routines, the ones that actually keep you well, get pushed aside. Hand in hand with this goes perfectionism. This is not about being a perfectionist in life. It's about being a perfectionist for your people. The perfect holiday table, the perfect food, gifts, plan, the perfect mood, the perfect holiday experience. Be honest, you already thought of that, right? And we drop our own routines because we believe I'll just get everything perfect first, and then I'll get back to myself. But perfection eats the entire month. I mean, let's be honest. We have Thanksgiving, we have opening of the winter holidays, we have the actual holidays, we have the New Year. By the time we reach January 1st, we're exhausted and we're back into picture-perfect world that does not exist, but the one that we're so pushing for during the holidays. Holidays, as I mentioned, is the time when all triggers come back. The holidays are full of sensory memories. A song, a smell, an ornament, a dish, a room that we walk in, if we go back to the house where we were raised. Maybe a tone of voice that somebody says something that we remembered. And suddenly, without warning, you're not the woman you are today. You're the younger version you used to be. The one who didn't know boundaries. The one who didn't know self-trust. The one who couldn't say no. And when old triggers rise, continuing anything for yourself becomes emotionally harder. Not logically, but emotionally. But unfortunately, this is something that we realize way too late. When we're already too tired, when we're already exhausted, and we already don't have enough patience to go through the rest of the holidays happy and calm. Together with that creeps in the emotional exhaustion. We need to tell the truth here. During the holidays, women are tired. Not I need a nap tired, but the tired that lives in our bones, the tired that comes from carrying everything, visible and invisible. This exhaustion makes continuing feel impossible. Not because you lack discipline, but because you have carried too much for too long. And exhaustion for women always pushes self-care off the table first. One of the unexpected reasons why it's hard to continue that I've discovered in the last few years is that no one ever taught us how to continue. And this is the root. We were taught how to start, how to perform, how to achieve, how to follow rules, how to be consistent with others or for others. But no one taught us how to continue for ourselves, how to return after a break, how to adjust instead of abandon, and how to continue again and again for our own dreams and goals. And so when life gets busy, overwhelming, emotional, or familiar with the old triggers, we stop. Not because we're broken, but because we were never taught to continue, to focus on that, to keep moving forward. I have a very interesting episode from actually my performance career. My music teacher back in Ukraine always taught me, she said, if you ever want to make a mistake, well, nobody, of course, want to make a mistake, but if it ever happen, then please make it somewhere in the middle. Nobody pays attention to the middle. All what you want to focus on is the start and the ending. Those are the highlights of your performance. In the middle, people doze off, people don't pay attention. So if you ever want to do something weird, then middle is your place. As I finished the list of possible reasons why we don't continue around the holidays, the one that I want to mention at the end is, I think, very obvious, but we don't look at it from the angle that I want you to think about. Holidays are simply too loud. Everything is louder. Emotions are louder. Every expectation is louder. Every memory is louder. Every responsibility is louder. And loud seasons make women go quiet inside. That's why we stop. Not because we don't care, not because we don't want to continue, but because continuing requires presence. And presence requires space. And holidays take up every inch of it. Now, I want to bring you into the heart of this conversation, because when it comes to continue, especially through the holidays, we need to reframe something we've all been taught incorrectly. Most of us grow up hearing this. If you want to continue, you need discipline. Discipline, willpower, consistently, push through, don't miss a day, do it right. Believe me, I've heard plenty of this in my musical career. And because of that, every time we stop, even for a day, we think we failed. I lived like this, to be honest with you, for years. As a musician, discipline was the air I breathed. You practice whether you want to or not. You continue because you must. You continue because the deadline is there, the performance is there, the expectation is there, and for the most part, discipline worked. Well, until it didn't. Because discipline will get you through a practice room. Discipline will get you through college. Discipline will get you through a project. But discipline alone will not carry you through your life. And it definitely will not carry you through the emotional complexity of the holidays. So here's the truth I want you to hear and take a second to really realize this. Continuing is not discipline. Continuing is self-trust. Self-trust is the foundation. Self-trust is the emotional engine. Self-trust is the quiet yes inside your body that says, I will return to myself. I can rely on myself. I don't abandon myself. I know what I need, and I'm willing to honor it. After all, I have myself. What I personally found is discipline demands, but self-trust supports. Discipline requires energy when self-trust creates energy. Discipline requires structure. Self-trust asks you to listen. Discipline says, do it anyway. Self-trust says, do it in a way that honors you. Self-trust says, even if I fell off yesterday, I can return today. Even if the holidays allowed, I can still hear myself. Even if I missed a week, I'm still someone who continues. I trust myself enough to begin again. Self-trust is not perfect. Self-trust is present. It's not about strict schedules. It's about honest check-ins. It's not about doing it every day. It's about staying connected to your why. Self-trust sounds like, okay, today was messy, but I'm still with myself. So to me, continuing is not about holding everything together. Continuing is about holding on to yourself. When life gets louder, presence matters more. When demands grow, your rituals matter more. When expectations rise, your boundaries matter more. When the world speeds up, your clarity matters more. Self-trust is the only reason we continue. And the holidays, they are the season where self-trust becomes your anchor. All you ever need to do is return. Gently, clearly, intentionally, to yourself, to the mindset of I have myself. But return requires tools. Tools that will help you to stay in the present, to continue forward, to turn your ability to continue forward into art. So here are several of the tools that allow me to continue to move forward. Number one, and this is the one that we've been talking about, but nevertheless, it needs to be repeated here. Schedule yourself first. This is the foundation. And it sounds so simple. Again, maybe even repetitive to some of you. But at the end of the day, for us, for women, this is the hardest thing in the world. Again, we schedule everything: school, work, in my case, dog haircut, you name it, dinners, appointments, everything. But when you look at your calendar, you don't see yourself anywhere. So here's the rule. If you don't put yourself on your own schedule, you disappear from your own life. And during the holidays, that disappearance happens fast. So every week, look at your calendar and ask yourself, where am I? Where's your 10 minutes for yourself? Where's the time for your walk? Where's the moment where it's clearly your time? And if you struggle to keep promises to yourself, schedule something that requires you to show up. Something that you just simply cannot miss. A massage, a manicure, a class, an art session, a coffee, maybe with a friend, or maybe for yourself, again, somewhere outside the house, whatever it is you like to do, but something that you cannot miss, that you have to show up. The second tool that I advise you to use, this is kind of a fun one. I call it best friend list. Again, very simple. Step one, make a list of your daily rituals and routines, everything that helps you stay sane and present. For me, for example, it's my morning coffee with a book. It could be 15 minutes, it could be 5 minutes, but I must have this. My art, it could be even 10 minutes, but I have to have this. Now, imagine a friend, your close friend, coming to you and asking, which of this should I keep during the holidays? And what can I let go of without losing myself? You will give her the truth. You will protect her well-being. You will not let her disappear. And then you follow your own advice. Because we treat friends better than we treat ourselves. This exercise brings you back to self-respect. Another tool that works is the micro-continuum. Make continuation so small it cannot be abandoned. During the holidays, maybe it is harder to get a full hour and a half or an hour workout. Maybe perfect routine of journaling with the candle and music in your favorite chair is difficult as well. Turn it into a micro practices. For example, maybe it's a 1 page of journaling, 10 minutes of walking, 15 minutes of reading. Maybe it's something that you can diminish, but not make it disappear from your schedule and from your life. Make what matters available. This is another part that is very important. It's simple. If something is important for you to continue, it must be accessible. If journaling matters, your journal needs to be with you, not on a shelf. If reading matters, keep the book by your bed, in your bag. Take it with you. It's very simple, but it's something that will help you to continue forward with routines that you've built before the holiday season. Another reason why we don't continue is because we become very rigid with our structure and rules. And this is an important part. Women stop because their original plan stops fitting and they don't allow themselves to adjust. But the truth is, your life changes every day. Your energy changes every day. Your needs change every day. So continuing requires flexibility. Change the time, change the duration, change the way, change the intensity, but do not change the commitment to yourself. As we close this conversation today, I want to bring you back to something simple and something powerful. You're entering a season where life gets loud, where schedules tighten, where emotions rise, where expectations grow, where old roles and old memories meet the woman you are now. And it's in this season that continuing matters the most. Not because you have to prove anything, not because you need to push, but because you deserve to stay with yourself and with all that you have created for yourself this year. When the world gets louder, your relationship with yourself becomes more important, not less. Every time you return to yourself, you continue. And every time you continue, you strengthen the bond with the most important person in your life, you. So take a breath, take one step, choose your one thing, and let continuation be your quiet anchor through the season. With ease, clarity, and presence, you can walk yourself through anything. Thank you for listening to Create Your Midlife with me, Dr. Oksana Skidan. Take what resonated, leave what doesn't, and remember, the art of leading yourself is the new luxury of our century. You already have yourself, and that's where creation begins. I'll meet you here next week.